Autism is a spectrum, a continuum. So when we talk about people who have autism, we're talking about a very wide range of people, and they are all very different. Their autism is different. So it's quite easy to slip into generalizations and stereotypes that perhaps don't fit them all. And so my apologies if I do that, but it's difficult to do otherwise when you're talking in a film like this. So in order to be considered autistic or diagnosed autistic, somebody has what's called a triad of impairments. That is, that they find it social interaction difficult, they will find language and communication a challenge, and they may also find it difficult to imagine. They will find it, in language, they'll find inference or nuance difficult. And that may also mean that they are rigid in their thinking. Now, one of the ways that manifests itself is through obsessions, that they become fixated on particular things for periods of time. That can also become a strength. It's thought that people who are autistic may have a particular aptitude for programming and coding. The thinking being that they are meticulous, they can tolerate repetition in a ways that other people don't. So they're happy to go through line by line, they're happy to go through an iterative process, and until they get the result that is desired. Other ways that technology is supportive, as well as providing, as well as working to strengths, is in supporting communication. By giving somebody an iPad and a specialist app, using what's called augmentative and alternative communication, AAC, you can literally give somebody a voice. So if they find it difficult to verbalize, they can look at a screen, they can tap words or images, create sentences, and interact with people in a way that they would find probably possibly impossible otherwise. It also supports communication in other ways. Technology can act as a mediator. So, for instance, people who are autistic who find it difficult to talk face to face may be more comfortable talking through a screen. Now, that could mean that they're sitting looking at the screen, you're sitting next to them, and you discuss what's on the screen, and they find it easier to talk about a game or a video that's in front of them than actually to turn to the person and speak, communicate face to face. It can also mean actually working through the screen. You ask a question, they type an answer, or perhaps you both type, and it works like a text messaging system. But somehow, if it allows for communication that somehow removes the barriers that are there when talking to another individual. It's also supportive when people who are autistic go into new situations. New situations, changes in routine or familiarity can be very upsetting. What you can do with technology is that you can take them to places virtually before they go there really. Many museums will have images on screen, or will have 360-degree visits that you can do. You can, when you're going on the bus, you might take a video of the bus journey so that they can see what it's going to look like. You might, if you're going to walk down the street, you might use Google Street View to look at the street before you go there, look at the turnings and so on. It's also helpful for research, for exploration, for finding answers, perhaps linked to obsessions, but also perhaps linked to finding support for how they might be different, and finding other people who are experiencing similar challenges with experiencing the world itself differently. We've also got the idea of technology creating sensory experiences. Now, one of the challenges for people with autism is sensory overload. Literally, that too much information is coming in through their senses. That might be that they find it difficult to both look and listen at the same time. So sometimes somebody who is autistic will look away from you when you're talking to them. You might perceive that as rude, but the reality is that they can't look at you and listen at the same time. They can only do one or the other. It can also mean that when they are walking down the street, all the noises, the cars going past, the sirens in the distance, the crisp packets rustling the gutter, are all received at a similar sort of volume. They find a challenge in what we call executive functioning, and therefore deciding what to prioritize when they're listening or looking. But we can use things like sensory rooms, which help them focus on one sense at a time. And we can also create sensory spaces which help with self-regulation. That is, when they begin to become over anxious and they're beginning to find that it's all too much, and there's a danger of them doing what we might think of as melting down. So through going to a calm space, perhaps listening to calm music, subdued lighting and so on, they're able to bring themselves back into a state where they can work, where they can cope. So technology's got lots of different ways that it can support people with autism in very positive ways. It can help them to be involved and to engage. It gives them support with the challenges that they have of experiencing the world a little differently to how others do.